To show you the next two ways to edit, I'm going to use a different clip, something that has motion in it so we can illustrate it a little better. So I'm just going to grab this one right here, and you can actually bypass this window. You can drop them directly into the timeline if you want. Now in this case, notice these two windows are completely different. That's because this window, the program window, is showing you what's going on in the timeline. This is your movie. Whereas the source window is showing you the last clip that you worked on. So if I don't ever use this window again, it's going to have this video or this picture in it for the entirety of my project. That's unlikely, but that potentially could happen. So now that we've put our project into our timeline, we can go through and watch it. Now we can watch this the exact same way that we watch the videos in this window. You can play up here. Again, you can use the space bar to start and stop, or you can use the arrow keys to move very slowly through it. But in this case, you have two separate play bars that you can scrub through your video. You have one up here, or you have the one down here. They both do the exact same thing, and they are married to one another. You see, once you're moving one, you're moving the other one as well. And it just shows you what's going on in that clip. Another thing that you can do to make it easier to look at is if you go down to the bottom, you can scroll back and forth through your clip. Now if you have, say, a long clip or you have a lot of things going on, you can zoom in or out of your track to make it easier to look at by simply putting your mouse at either the beginning or the end of the scroll bar, and you see it turns into a little finger. And if you pull out, it zooms out. So now you can see the entire track. See, at this point, you can see everything that's going on. Or you can zoom way in. So we're just going to scroll back to the beginning. If you had lots of little clips going on, you might want to zoom in so you can see it better. Another thing to look at is your minutes up here. This is showing you what time you are at in the movie. So if your clip ends right here, it ends at about 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Or you can see up here, specifically, it's 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Or if you put your play bar over here, we're at 6 and 24. Or 6 and 29. You can see I can't see it as well down here as you can up here. But it gives you an idea of how long things are. So now that we have this video track in here, we can look at the second way of editing, which is called using the razor blade tool. Now if we're going to use the razor blade tool, what we can do is cut a section out right smack in the middle of this clip. So let's say that we're going through this clip and I don't like this part. Maybe for some reason I just want to get rid of this part of the close-up of his feet. So to do that, we can put our play bar, and again you can use your arrow keys, to get to the exact moment that that close-up of his feet shows up. So it's right there. I don't want that black either. So if I put my play bar right there, I then go over to my tool palette, and I'm just going to get this window out of the way. If I click on this tool right here, which conveniently looks like a razor blade, it says razor blade tool on it. If I click on this, I can then come over, and you'll see as soon as I put the mouse or the arrow over my clip, it becomes a little razor blade. So now what I want to do is go over where I said I want to make that cut right there on that line. And if I click it, what that does is it turns it into two separate clips. Now at this point, I quickly want to mention this tool right here called the snap tool. Now the snap tool is automatically on, and what the snap tool does is it basically, as you can see, it's a picture of a magnet. It basically turns your project into a magnet, meaning that as long as you get your arrow really close to that line, it'll automatically put it at the exact point. Because there are 30 frames in a second, meaning that every second that you're watching this video, there are 30 individual frames in it. And that's really hard to cut on the exact frame that you want if you were just eyeballing it. So with this tool on, or with your snap function on, as long as you're close, like as close as you can get to it, it's automatically going to cut on the frame that you want it to cut on. So just remember that to make sure that you keep that button on. And you can see when it's on, you can see it looks like it's depressed, and the little dark box shows up around it. So now that we have one cut in here, we now can go through and find where we want to get rid of the end of this clip. So I said I don't want any of the close-up of his feet, So now we just go and find that. And again, I'm using my arrow keys to get to the exact spot, and I'm going to say right there, so I go to my razor blade, cut it, and now this video clip is in 3 separate pieces. So we have the first piece I want, this third piece I want, it's this middle piece right here. I don't want this anymore. So I just need to get rid of it. Now that I've isolated it as its own clip, all I have to do is go back to the arrow key to click on it, and make sure you go back to the arrow key, because if you leave it on the razor blade when you go to click on it, you're just going to end up chopping it into a million pieces. And you can either hit the delete key on the keyboard, and what that does is it deletes the clip, but it leaves the hole here, so now you just got to drag the next clip down, or I'm just going to undo that. Or if you right click on it, you have an option called ripple delete. Anytime something says ripple, what that does is if you hit it, it's now going to delete that clip, but it's going to slide the next clip down. So anytime you see the word ripple, what that means is it's going to move the entire project so that everything still stays synced up. So now we've gotten rid of that clip so we can watch it, and there shouldn't be any bit of the close-up of the feet in here. So now he's running. Yep, and it skipped right to the other shot, and there was no more feet. Now this is also convenient if you want to get rid of, say somebody's coughing and you want to get rid of that, you can just go through and cut that little tiny bit of a cough out. Because remember, if you zoom way in, you can isolate very small frames to just pull those little tiny bits out. Or if you have a really, really long clip and you don't want all of it, so for example, let's bring this 30-minute clip back in here. I'm just going to move the in and out point, so it's just a really big long clip. So let's say I have all of this, and if I zoom out, I can see that this is 17 minutes long. Well, I don't want all of this, so maybe instead I can just hit the razor blade, click anywhere over there, and just get rid of it. So now it's gone. By hitting the delete key, it's gone, and now we have a smaller, more manageable piece. So that is the razor blade. So between the in and out points, where you can pick small parts that you want to work with, or the razor blade, which allows you to chop your piece into a million little tiny pieces, or chop your project into a million little tiny pieces, those are the first 2 ways to edit. So now we go on to the last one.